Welcome to another exciting edition of Talk City Greensboro, proudly produced by GTN. Get ready to dive into captivating interviews and stay up to date with the latest events happening around town. This is your ultimate source to stay in the know while you're on the go. Don't miss on any action. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Pandora, Google Play, or SoundCloud. With just a few clicks, you'll be able to keep up with everything happening in Greensboro city government and beyond. I'm your host, Ahmad Kellum, and today I'm flying solo while Rodney and Josh are away. But fear not, because we have an incredible guest joining me that will keep the energy levels sky high. Introduce an individual who has been named the 2023 NAL Assistant Coach of the Year and also the newly appointed head coach of the Carolina Cobras. Please give a warm welcome to Brandon Negron.
What's up, Amon? Appreciate you having me, man.
Thank you for coming down.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, let's get into this. So, Coach, you were appointed the head coaching position after the 2023 season, making you the fourth head coach in program history. What was that moment like for you?
It's a dream, man. I tell people all the time, this is my NFL. So, I've worked for the organization since 2020 in a variety of roles. I think every coach's dream is to be a head coach somewhere and to get my first head coaching job at the organization that I started in. It's pretty cool. So I'm excited and looking to do something great here in Carolina in 2024.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So, well, Coach, I was at the last game the Cobras played against the Sioux City Bandits. From my understanding, this was the first time both teams faced off each other and first time in league history.
That's correct. Yes, they were undefeated when they came into Carolina. So
That was a great win. I
It
saw.
it was a big win. We needed that. We were coming off a road trip where we took a tough loss to Colorado. Our season's kind of been up and down. We're still trying to figure some things out, but I think my team really showed, their grit and their identity this past game against Sioux City, and I'm excited about the direction the team's going. We have a bye week this week, so to go into the bye week with a big win like that was really great for our morale. I'm excited.
It's great. So, with this being the first time y'all meeting up, what does this say about the expansion of the Carolina Cobras program?
I think it says a lot. I mean, last year, we had some teams fall off, and I think it says a lot about the league and what they do behind the scenes to bring in a bunch of new teams. We're always wanting the league to expand. There's still room for expansion. We love a lot of that expansion to be on the East Coast because we're traveling a little bit more than we ever did. But one thing about the NAL is they last. The league's been in existence. I want to say since 2017. And unfortunately, in the indoor game, teams come and go. But the NAL always finds a way to rebound. And I think the teams that are in place right now, the six teams that are in the league, create a good foundation for expansion moving forward. So we're excited about the direction the league's going. I mean, we're the elder statesmen of the NAL per se, but the teams that have come in, Sioux City, Omaha. Those are teams that have been in indoor football for more than 20 years. So, that gives us a bright outlook on the future because we know that the teams that are in the league right now are stable and have a proven track record of success, both in football and on the business side.
Okay, so you touched and said that the league were established in 2017.
hmm
So, what is the recruiting like or scouting like for the league?
in terms of teams or players?
Players.
So players come from all over. For a lot of players, this is a different journey to the ultimate goal, right? And the
Yeah.
ultimate goal is to play in the NFL or the CFL, some of the higher leagues. This is the route that the undrafted player sometimes has to take, or the undiscovered talent that maybe didn't go to a school or wasn't in an area that got a ton of scouting from professional teams. We've had some unbelievable players go through our program. Malik Henry was on the team last year. If you ever saw Last Chance U,
Yeah.
he was the star. And that's not the Malik Henry that I got to know. The Malik Henry I got to know was a consummate professional and is now playing in the CFL, prepared for the game like nobody had ever seen. He's an amazing football player. He just went a different route, right? And so this is the route that he had to go. Joe Powell, who after our game on Sunday went back to the UFL, his route's been different. He started in the NFL, fell off, got hurt, played for us, got hurt again, was out for a season, and then worked his way back into to the NAL ranks and then the UFL ranks. So, for these guys. It's just a journey of finding the right outfit within the indoor game that can get them the exposure so they can move back to the outdoor game and obviously pursue what they're looking for. We have players on our team that came through a tryout. Demond Stokes came through a tryout. We hosted a tryout at Southwest Guilford High School in November, and that's the first time I met Demond. And his future is very bright. He's 19 years old playing professional football. There's not a lot of young guys that can say that. So, the journey's certainly not easy, but when they get to where they want to go, it certainly can be rewarding. And I this is not for the faint of heart. I'll say that. But the fact that these guys go through this and then go to the higher leagues, you just appreciate the grind so much more.
That's amazing. So, is there any way that these leagues bridge each other like the UFL you say and the XFL? Do they kind of check in with the NAL sometimes, or
Sometimes I not as much. I know the IFL, which is probably the premier indoor league right now. I believe they have some sort of partnership with the UFL where there's some sort of scouting arrangements. Just for me personally, I try to reach out to as many leagues as possible to help my players because that's part of my responsibility. I always tell my players 50% of my responsibility is to win a championship.
yeah.
The other 50% is to put them in a position to showcase their talents. So I'll reach out to anybody on behalf of one of my players if they're trying to move up the ladder. I would love to see these indoor leagues merge with some of these larger professional leagues. I think that would help not only get our guys moved up faster, but I think financially, for some of these leagues and some of these smaller market teams, it's tough. And so, when you partner with a UFL or a CFL, they obviously have resources that some of our smaller leagues don't have. So I think that's something that's in the works. I'm sure there are people at the league level much smarter than me that are working that stuff out. But that's definitely something that I think would be better for all of these indoor leagues across the country.
Okay, so I have a question about this particular ball. So we understand that colors for football is ranges, but what is up with the whiteness of the ball?
Um, you know, just because it's indoors, I think maybe that shows up in the lights better. That's the only thing I can really come up with.
Yeah.
I also think that we're trying to separate our identity from typical outdoor football, so that's probably part of it. That's actually our 2023 championship ball. Obviously, anybody who follows the game knows we lost in Jacksonville. That's the first time I've taken that ball out of my office.
Oh wow.
So you should
That's
feel
special.
very honored. I can't wait to put it back in my office. I try not to look at it, but
Yeah.
the ball composition's a little bit different. The make of it's a little bit different, and I just think that the color changes, and you'll see other teams will have two tone colors, maybe black and white or orange and white. It's just to give the ball a cooler look and something exciting for the fans.
Totally understand. So, and another thing, when I was at the game last game, what does the knife man mean for Carolina Cobras?
Yeah. So there's 8 people on the field, right? Eight
Yes.
players on both sides of the ball. The ninth man is our fans.
Yeah.
Those are our craziest of fans. I would love to see us pack that section a little bit more. It's pretty intense when it's loud right behind us right there because that's where I stand,
Yeah.
and the rest of the coaching staff and stuff. So, but yeah, that represents kind of our dedicated and most loyal and crazy fan section.
Yes, because the fans were very hyped last game
Yeah.
because that was a big game.
It was. It was a big game for us. We needed to win. Like I said, going into a bye, you always want to go into it with a win, so you're remembering a victory while you're off with your family. So it was probably my most fun game of the season.
So, what is the travel like for the NAL? The away games. How are the away games like?
So for us, because we're the only team that's really on the East Coast, all of our travel is air travel,
Okay.
and I mean beyond the expense of it, it's fine. I mean, we get on a plane just like anybody else, travel coach, and we're right in the mix with other travelers, and we're always treated really well. We'll wear our travel suits. People ask who are the Cobras and stuff like that, and it gives the players a chance to mingle with people that are traveling, the flight attendants, flight staff. Again, the only issue is for smaller teams. This is a smaller team. We're not an NFL team. The budgets are tight, right? So flight travel can be expensive. For the other teams in the league, they're all relatively within the same region. Idaho's a little further out than everybody else, but the Omahas and the Sioux Cities, Oklahoma, they're all kind of in that same area. So they'll be mostly bus travel. And as the league expands on the East Coast. Last year we had a lot of bus travel. We bus traveled to Jacksonville, Orlando. So our hope is that we get some more teams on this side of the country so we can mix in some bus travel with our flight travel.
Interesting. So, going into these other stadiums, have you ever experienced hostile crowds and wild crowds?
Uh, yeah. Colorado this year wasn't fun. Of course, you
Yeah,
couple that with we were losing. That you hear everything when you're losing, right? So
that's
that
true.
wasn't great. But that's the nature of the game, right? The cool thing about the indoor game is the fans are right in there with us, right?
Yeah,
So if you sit by the wall, you can get a ball. You could wind up having a player land in your lap on a
yeah,
tackle. Even this past game with the home game, when I call a play, the fans are saying good play call, coach, and stuff like that. But yeah, when you go on the road, not a lot of people like us. We're a winning team, so when we go into a visiting environment, we're confident with what we do, and we kind of portray that, and they let us have it, and that's okay. That's what makes the game fun.
that's interesting. So, Coach, how many games do y'all have to finish up this season?
So we played seven. We got five regular season games left, and then the
Okay.
expectation is we're in the playoffs. Ultimately, we want to play a total of 7 games. If we play a total of 7 games and win all 7 games, then the next time you probably bring me in here, I'll bring the championship trophy with us.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Yes.
So, is that the mindset you're enforcing to your team for these last stretch games?
Every game's a playoff game. That was the message that I gave the team before the game against Sioux City. We're playing like if we don't win, we go home. And I just think that's where we have to be. The loss in Colorado changed our destiny a little bit. We don't have as much control over, what happens in terms of hosting a home playoff game and all that than we did pre Colorado, right? So we want to host a home playoff game here. And we want to ultimately host the home championship here. What's nice about our league is that the team that has the best record, when the playoffs are over, hosts the championship game.
Yeah.
What better than to host the championship game in the Greensboro Coliseum? What that
Ah,
would do for our team, the city. So we have to win every game, and that's the mindset we're going into for the rest of the season.
that's great. That's great. So, well, Coach, all right, can we look back at the 2023 season? Your special teams unit was arguably the best in the league with the NAL standouts TC Stevens and Adam Smith. How has special teams played a role in success for the Carolina Cobras?
Well, those two guys got me my Assistant Coach of the Year award last year because I coach special teams. So,
Yeah,
um, you know, TC Stevens has been arguably the best kicker in the league for the last probably 5 years. And the kicking game matters in the
yeah,
indoor game. You can get deuces, which is on kickoff if the ball is kicked through the field goal net or the uprights rather. That's 2 points. Extra points matter. I know you were at the game this past game. We were hitting extra points and they weren't, right? So that matters. So the kicking game is paramount. And TC Stevens he may arguably be one of the best kickers to ever kick in indoor football history. And then Adam Smith. Adam Smith was a Guilford College graduate, right? So he played at Guilford College. There are thousands of receivers competing for receiver jobs in all walks of football. Adam had to differentiate himself from all those guys that was competing with. He did that on special teams. I mean, last year, when Adam caught a kickoff, you were pretty confident he was going to take it to the
oh
house.
yeah,
And that's why he's back with us this year. He's been with the Cobras. I think this is his fourth year now, maybe fifth. But I mean, he's made his name as part of the special teams unit and being one of the most dynamic kick returners in the league. So, I probably don't have this job today if not for those two guys. So that's how influential they've been.
that's amazing. So, how hard is the kicking game? Because I've seen the goalposts are set up a different way. Could you explain how the setup
Yeah,
is?
so they're narrower than
Yeah,
than in your regular pro game, and these balls are harder to kick than a typical
yeah,
NFL football. You have to get the PSI just right. Like I said, they're a different material, and I mean, if you think about it, to kick a deuce, which is kicking the ball through the upright on a kickoff, you're talking about what's basically a 58-yard field goal because the field's 50 yards and your end zones are typically 8 yards deep, right?
yeah,
So every time these guys hit that, it's a 58-yard field goal. And just think about from an NFL standpoint, how many 50 plus yard field goals are actually hit. Now, it's greater now than it was maybe 20 years ago. Who knows what they're putting in kickers' legs these days? But it used to be where a 50-yard field goal was an anomaly, right? Those were not typical. And I think for these guys in the arena game, for some of the best kickers in the league, that's the standard. They do that all day long. So there is a lot of difficulty in it. Not only the distance, but again, like you said, the width of the goalposts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, another thing with the team, what is the practicing schedule like?
Yeah. So our typical schedule is we'll watch film on Monday. Then we'll get back to practice Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We'll typically do like a walkthrough on Friday. And if our game is on Saturday, we play on Saturday. If the game is on Sunday, then everything kind of gets pushed back a day. So they'll practice at minimum 3 days a week. One day might be helmets only. The other 2 days will be full pads. And then our walkthroughs are just, abbreviated practices where we just kind of recap all that we prepared for during the week.
That's great. So I've also read that in 2020 you helped found the Youth Arena Football League.
I did.
for the
I did.
Cobras?
So we tried to tie in a youth football league with the Cobras in 2020. Then COVID hit. So we wound up having to cancel the season and refund everybody. We tried to revive it this year. The difficulty has always been just finding competition in the spring. There's a lot of youth football leagues around here, man. And I've been in youth football since 2010. My wife and I had actually started a youth league in 2010, 2011, and we sustained it for 11 years, and it was great. But just as the years went by, more and more people started different youth teams.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you water down the pool of athletes. There's just not enough kids to go around. So this year we had about 90 kids, but there's some leagues that want to do tackle. We didn't want to do tackle. We wanted to do flag. We wanted to incorporate it with obviously the pro team.
Yeah.
So we suspended operations, but we are working with the Boys and Girls Club right now on potentially reviving the season beginning in June. And then we're going to do a youth football camp for all the kids on May 25th. And anybody who was part of the league gets to come to that for free. We're also doing a Venom Dance Camp, which is for the cheerleaders. That's on May 18th, which, cooperates with Ladies Night. That's Ladies Night that night for the game. So, we try to do as much for the kids as possible. We have a kids club. I have 7 children. So, I've been around kids since 2002. So anything we could do to bring the kids into the Coliseum and just be involved in the community, that's kind of what this team's all about. So
That's great. That's great to hear. So, is the fan engagement that's a big part of this program? Because we know the fans wants to see the Carolina Cobras. What are your voice and views of getting the Carolina Cobras out there?
so we do as many community events as will have us, right? Especially in the off season, because that's when we have the most time and we can spend a lot of time with the fans and hopefully bringing on new fans. My view is this: we play in an 18,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
I would love to fill it. I don't even know what that would feel like to play in front of 18,000 fans. I'd be excited if we played in front of 9,000 fans. Look, what I've learned about the indoor football fan is once we get you to a game once, you're hooked.
Yeah.
So, my message to Greensboro would be, come out and watch us. We win football games. It's action packed. There's a lot of in-game entertainment. And the Greensboro Coliseum is one of the nicest arenas on the East Coast, maybe in the country. So you're coming to watch a game at a really great venue. There's a really good chance that you'll be coming to watch us win. And the more support that we have, the longer we can sustain the team in this market, which is ultimately what I want to do. You asked me in the beginning about the coaching job. This is home. I don't want to coach anywhere else, right? So, having fans is paramount to making sure that we can continue to operate the team and that I can continue to bring championships to Greensboro, which the goal is to bring one this year.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Thank you for your time, Coach.
No, I appreciate it, Ma. This
Thank
is
you
awesome.
for coming down here and showing support to this network and getting the Carolina Cobras name out there and showing the audience that they're here to stay.
I love it. Thank you so much. I hope you have me again. And Greensboro, we'll see you on May 18th.
Thank you. Stay in tune weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Pandora, Google Play, and don't forget you can download the Talk City from SoundCloud. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Talk City. Be sure to watch GTN, your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, Lumos 31. GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.